When we practice Buddhism, there are many guidelines that we can use to practice. One of these is to practice as Bodhisattvas do, and this is to follow the 6 paramitas, the first of which is giving. Giving, which can be summarized into 3 kinds, is to wholeheartedly offer what we have and others need. The first kind of giving is that of wealth. Usually, when we hear of giving wealth, people think of donating money to an individual or an organization. This is only one of the many kinds of giving. We can give our possessions. We may not have much wealth to give, but we can give things that we have, like something we no longer need or use. Or perhaps even something that we do use and enjoy, but feel another person needs or would enjoy more than we. We can also give of our internal wealth, our time and energy. When we see somebody is doing something good that is proper, we can help them. When we first practice this kind of giving, we may feel a little reluctant about doing so, wondering how best to help, or even if they want our help. But the more we practice giving, the easier it will be to do even more, and the more skilled we will be at it. From the giving of wealth, we will gain wealth in the future. The second kind of giving is that of teaching. This can be anything we know that another wishes to learn. In our teaching, we are to hold nothing back. If we do hold back, this is teaching grudgingly, and our result in the future will be ignorance. But if we teach others wholeheartedly and without holding anything back, we will gain wisdom in the future. The highest form of the giving of teachings is that of the Dharma. Our giving of external wealth will help alleviate others' needs. Teaching others skills will help them to further improve their lives, as it can lessen their suffering in this lifetime. But the Dharma will help them forever end all suffering. What is the best way to teach the Dharma? Exemplify it. Not unlike little children watching their parents, people usually learn best by example. So we use our own life as a scientific experiment in which we provide proof that Buddhism will improve one's life. How? Less anger and more patience. Reduced worries and increased happiness. Fewer cravings and more contentment. Lessened fear and greater confidence. Seeing all this, people will wonder how we got to the point that we are able to have all this, and how did we do it? This is when we verbally teach the Dharma, when they are ready to listen. But before they reach that point, we teach the Dharma through our actions, through our living. The third kind of giving is fearlessness. This can be as self-sacrificing as giving our life to save another. It can also be as simple as seeing somebody who is upset and doing what we can to comfort them, to make them feel less worried, less upset, more calm, more at ease. When we give this third kind of giving, we will gain a healthy, long life in the future. If we know people who are very wise, it is because in their past lifetimes they practiced the giving of teaching. If we know those who have great wealth, it is because they have given wealth in the past. Often, when people think of wealth and look at selfish, arrogant people who have it, they may begin to doubt the law of cause and effect. Cause and effect tells us that every thought, word, and deed will have a result. Very often not in this lifetime, but in our next lifetime, in 10 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes, 1,000 lifetimes from now. Every cause that we have generated will have a consequence, a result. This may seem very logical and sound very realistic, but still, people can begin to doubt when they look around themselves. All of us know people who are very good, who help others. Not themselves. They constantly think of others. They are kind and caring. When others want to know something or are in need, these people share their knowledge and wealth. When others are upset, they comfort the person. They constantly help others. Yet, in this lifetime, they have many problems, making their lives very difficult, filled with pain and suffering. They may have barely enough money to survive. When people see this, they may begin to doubt cause and effect. These people are so good. They do everything they can to help others, yet their lives are so difficult. Where is cause and effect? We live in an infinitesimally small instant of time, our human life. When things are not going well, we may feel it is a long time, but actually, this life of ours is very short. In our past lives, we have done uncountable things, but we have no conscious memory of them. Not aware of them, we don't understand everything that is going on. We may look around and see that some people are very good, but we do not know what they have done in their past lifetimes. Just like us. For in our former lifetimes, we have done much that is good, but we have done much more that is not. We have hurt many people, many beings. And if we think back on what our thoughts were like today, what we said and what we did, we will realize that it's very likely that just today, just this morning, we have done more that was harmful than was beneficial. So basically, we do not know what we have done in previous lifetimes. But we are taught that what we are going through now is the result of those lifetimes. People who are having very difficult lives now did much that was bad. They hurt others. That is why they are suffering now and having difficult lives now. We also see people who are very selfish, cruel, arrogant. They do nothing to help others. And yet, they enjoy great wealth. They have no fear of hunger. They have no thought of where the money to care for their family will come from. If they want something, they buy it. No need to ask the price. They seem to have lives of great freedom, great ease. And when we look at what they're doing, it can be very puzzling because they are doing nothing that is good. And yet their lives are so good. Again, in the past, they did much that was good. That's why they are enjoying such carefree, comfortable lives now. When we undergo difficulties, try, and yes, this is very difficult, but try not to feel angry or resentful. Try not to feel self-pity, thinking, here I am trying to do everything that is good. Everyone's giving me a hard time. Nothing is going well. I can't find a good job. I don't know how I'll look after my family. I'm ill and in pain. And so on, and so on. Instead of thinking this way, we need to understand that what we are undergoing is because of what we did. There is no other being that says, you will have a good life, but you have a very difficult one. Good lives, difficult lives, are because of what we think, say, and do. If we can understand this, we will understand that the difficulties we are now undergoing are the repayment of debts that we owe. If we can let go of resentment and instead tell ourselves, I don't want to live like this in the future. So I'll practice giving. I'll help others. I'll teach others. I'll help others feel secure. If they don't have money, I can give in other ways if I don't have money. I'll give of my time and my energy. There are so many ways I can give. But when I give, although I initially do so with thoughts of self-interest, I will gradually do so without any thoughts of self-benefit. In time, I will think only of helping others. When we do this, we are planting the seeds that will bring us good lives in the future. All this comes from giving. We also need to understand that while our lives may now be difficult and with much suffering, thanks to our past bad karmas. That if it were not for our past good karmas, things might be even worse. Cause and effect is very simple. Do something good, receive something good. Do something bad, receive something bad. Cause and effect is unbelievably complicated. It is connected through all our past lifetimes, through the past, present, and future. All the threads of what was done, what will happen, are beyond our understanding. Fortunately, we don't need to know each deed, each karmic connection to believe in cause and effect. Consider young children who have talents. Mozart, for example. As a young child, he was composing beautiful music. When he wrote a piece of music, he wrote the whole thing. No need to revise it. Why was this person born with such unbelievable talent? Rebirth, cause and effect. We do not need to connect all the dots to have confidence in cause and effect. We simply need to believe that Buddhas and Bodhisattvas do not lie to us. And they tell us that we cannot take physical things with us when we die, nor can we take our friends, our family. We take none of these. All that we take with us is our past karmas, our accumulated thoughts, words, and actions. We take nothing else. So if we consider our lives today and want them to be better in the future, we will happily practice giving now. We practice sincerely, without wandering thoughts, discriminations, or attachments. We practice from our true nature, the Buddha nature that is already within us, the nature that we all have. This is the same nature as Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. If we practice with sincerity, without selfishness, if we think only of others without any expectation of personal rewards, we will be in touch with our true nature. When we give $1 to someone who is in need of help, when we spontaneously just give, we don't think, we don't analyze the situation. Perhaps they are hungry. Perhaps they do not have a home. They need help. We just give them $1 and do not think of it again. We do not think that I gave, they received, and what was given. We just give without attachment. When we do that, we are giving from our true nature. And we are giving from the understanding that we are not individuals separate from everything else. We are all one. Giving, helping others, should be as natural, as spontaneous as my trying to pick up a cup or a thermos that is too heavy to lift with just one hand. I do not need to think, to analyze. Okay, the cup is ridiculously heavy. What can I do? What are my choices? What else can I do to lift the cup? I can use my other hand. With 2 hands, I'll be able to lift it. Clearly, we do not need to go through this detailed process. We can be talking to somebody, feel thirsty, note the cup is heavy, and while concentrating on our conversation, lift the cup with both hands. We do so because we know that our 2 hands are part of the same body. This is how spontaneous, how natural we need to be in helping others. We give to help others, and we give without attachments. Attachments are thinking of, wanting, having thoughts of, dwelling on something. Consider the story of 2 monks who came to a wide, fast-running stream. They saw a pretty young lady standing on their side of the stream. She turned to the 2 monks and asked if they could help her. She was trying to get to the other side, but couldn't manage it on her own. The older monk said, "No problem," picked her up, carried her across the stream, and put her down. The younger monk followed them across the stream. For those who do not know, monks are not supposed to go around picking up pretty young ladies, or any ladies, actually. Back to our story. The lady went one way, the monks went the other. The young monk kept thinking about this. The master had done something wrong, which he did not understand. How could the master have done this? The young monk kept thinking, going over in his mind all that had transpired at the stream. Finally, he could bear it no longer and blurted out, "Master, I have to ask a question." The master said, "Ask your question." The young monk said, "Back at the stream, you carried that woman across. How could you have done that?" The master looked at him and replied, "What stream? What woman?" The master had put her down on the other side of the stream and then let go of all thoughts of her. He had no attachments. The young monk, on the other hand, was still attached to what had happened. He thought about it. He constantly went over it in his mind. He couldn't stop thinking about it. He was attached. In our giving, we need to be like that master and not have attachments. If we do, we will limit the benefits of what we will gain. And even worse, our attachments will keep pulling us back into this cycle of rebirth. We need to give and then no longer think about it. An excellent way to practice this is to give something that we own to someone who needs or would simply enjoy it. After giving the object to somebody else, if we are not attached, we won't think of it again. If somebody asks us about it, we'll remember what we did. But we do not keep thinking, "I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I still had it. I miss it." If we miss it, if we wish we hadn't given it away, we are attached. And our attachments will keep pulling us back into this cycle of rebirth. Give and let go. Teacher, Venerable Master Ching Kong, often talks about letting go. We need to understand what letting go means. When we give, we let go of memories, of desires for what we had, of wishes that we had it back. We let go of our attachments. But to let go does not mean that we let go of our responsibilities. A person who heard teacher speaking of this wrote to him saying, "Okay, I have let go. Now what do? I let go of my job. I let go of my home. I gave everything away. I have no way to earn a living. I have nothing left. My wife is seriously irritated with me. No way to support my family. Now, what do I do?" This is not letting go. We are to let go of our attachments to something. We let go of our attachment, but we need to continue meeting our responsibilities. When we work, when we have responsibilities at home, responsibilities where we live, we do everything we can to meet those responsibilities as best we can. When we leave an event, our work, wherever we are, we do not constantly rerun all that has happened. We can review a worrisome situation and consider how we might have acted more wisely and how to do better in the future. We know this improvement is possible because our cultivation will enable us to develop the ability to control what we do. But we cannot control things outside of ourselves. We cannot change the conditions others have created for themselves. Consider a situation where we work with others on a project, perhaps at work, perhaps in an organization we are part of. We put a lot of effort into doing our task well and are feeling that we've done a good job. Somebody, a superior, a person in a position of authority, a decision maker, says, "That's very nice, but the plans have changed. We're not going to do it that way. We're going to do something else instead." When this happens, most of us would feel varying degrees of irritation, resentment, frustration, outright anger. I worked so hard, and now nothing is being used. We can stay attached to what we did, and we can stay angry. It's our choice. But all that we are feeling comes from within us. It's not the other person who is making us angry. We are making us angry. We are making ourselves frustrated, irritated. As soon as we realize this, we need to stop and think, okay, is there anything I can salvage from what I did? If not, I'll put it aside. Surely at some point I'll be able to use something from it. And if nothing else, I learned from it. So maybe the next time I try something similar, I'll be able to work more efficiently, more quickly, because of what I learned. Do not be attached to what you have done. Do not be attached to personal opinions. Do not be attached to possessions or to any phenomena in this world. Let go. This is the way we will improve our future. We need to stop thinking of just ourselves. We need to open the doors of our heart and mind and go beyond egoistic self-absorption. In everything we do, we need to think of others. How can we give to them? How can we teach others? How can we alleviate others' worries and fears? The second paramita is moral self-discipline, which counters worries and unhappiness and enables us to continue on our way to awakening. In a more literal sense, it is precept observation. In a broader sense, the second paramita means ethical behavior, as we follow the laws and customs of where we are. Initially, as we begin our practice of discipline, we can focus on refraining from harming others. Gradually, we will begin to develop and increase our virtue. The ultimate form of this practice is to benefit others. The 5 fundamental precepts of no killing, stealing, lying, sexual misconduct, or intoxicants. The first 4 precepts are moral responsibilities and are found in virtually every religion and moral teaching in this world. The 5th precept, no intoxicants, is observed in several traditions. The main reason for taking this precept is that in becoming intoxicated, we can easily lose our judgment. Then we may well end up breaking one or more of the other 4 precepts. The first precept is no killing. There are many degrees of killing and many degrees of karmic result. The most serious is one of the 5 offenses for Buddhists: patricide, killing one's father; matricide, killing one's mother; causing a Buddha to bleed; killing a Bodhisattva or an Arhat; and causing dissension in the Sangha. An important factor in our behavior is intention, because our karmas are influenced by our intentions. Thus, intent is very important. For example, consider what is called premeditated murder. The person who commits this form of killing intended to do so. They made a plan which they carried out. This is such a serious form of killing because at any point the individual could have thought, "No, I won't do it." But they thought about it, planned it, and killed another person. Such an intended killing carries a very heavy karmic consequence. The person may have even involved others in the plan, thus compounding their own karmic consequences. Now, consider unpremeditated killing. Let's say one person was angry with another and in an instant lost his temper. He picked up something heavy and used it to strike the other person and killed them. There was no plan. It was all done in the heat of the moment. Then there is accidental killing. In this example, no one meant to harm another. Two people were arguing. One happened to push the other. Caught off balance, the person fell and sustained a fatal wound. There was no intention to kill, but by both having given in to anger, one suffered an injury that led to his death. The deeper meaning of no killing is that we revere all beings and have compassion and respect, not just for other people, but also for animals, insects, plants, and the very earth which supports us. By our very existence, we are taking lives. As we walk, we step on insects. To produce the food we eat and the water we drink, millions of other animals and microbiological lives are destroyed. We cannot stop eating or drinking water, but we can make certain that we do not waste anything. Understanding our impact on others, we can use what we need, but no more than that. Not killing also has an even more subtle aspect. We should not kill the seeds of goodness in others or harm another emotionally. While our thoughts and actions can be damaging to others, it is our speech that too easily commits this offense. Our careless, sarcastic, or angry words can deeply wound a child, a loved one, a friend. We need to use our speech wisely and speak from the heart that wishes to help others. The second precept is no stealing. Stealing is not just walking up to somebody and demanding their money. Stealing is taking anything when we do not have permission from the owner to do so. If we see some food on a table and eat it without asking whose it is, and then asking if they're okay, this is stealing. Anytime we take something that does not belong to us, when we do not have permission of the owner, we are stealing. The third precept is no lying. No saying anything that is untrue. The 10 virtuous karmas cautions against 4 kinds of speech: false, divisive, harsh, enticing. Untrue, harmful speech is so easy to commit because we just open our mouths, apparently unaware of what is about to be inflicted on those around us, and blurt out whatever we are thinking. Perhaps we exaggerate to make our point. Perhaps we tell a white lie to avoid hurting someone's feelings, not realizing that a more honest, carefully thought out response would actually be kinder. Perhaps in passing on the latest gossip, we tell one person what another is supposed to have said about them. Or perhaps we speak heatedly out of frustration, or cleverly to get someone to do something they ordinarily wouldn't. So many ways to speak improperly. So much negative karma created. So many painful karmic results for us to have to endure in the future. Are there ever times when we can intentionally not keep the precepts? Consider a story from the Buddha's time. One night, a powerful king lost his temper, became infuriated with one of his ministers, and commanded that the minister be put to death. The queen knew this was not like her husband. She did not know what to do, but she knew the offense was very serious. All she could think to do was to offer her husband some wine. She kept giving him wine, more still, until finally the drunken king just fell asleep. The next morning he woke up and was horrified when he learned that he had almost killed his minister. The queen went to the Buddha and bemoaned, "I have broken the precept of no intoxicants." She then told the Buddha what she had done. He assured her that she had not broken the precept in this instance. She had temporarily lifted the precept of no killing, of no intoxicants, to prevent her husband from breaking the greater precept of no killing. Reasons like this are why we need to understand the precepts and the 10 virtuous karmas, and why the Buddha taught them to us. To live a moral, self-disciplined, aware mind life. To follow the second of the 6 paramitas does not mean just following the 5 precepts or monastic precepts. It also means to follow the laws of wherever we are, as long as they do not violate the Dharma. We also respect the customs of where we are, and do not offend those who live there. We do things as they do, provided these things are proper. We often hear of according with others, according with conditions. And we often hear that when others are doing something, we should not be attached to our own way of doing it. If everybody wants to do something in a particular way, and there is nothing improper in what they want to do, go along with them and accord with conditions, with proper conditions. When we practice moral self-discipline, we won't be worried about having done something. We'll be at ease, with fewer worries, fewer feelings of guilt. When we have moral self-discipline, our mind will calm down, and we will be better able to settle into our meditative concentration, chanting the Buddha's name or a sutra. With meditative concentration, our innate prajna wisdom will arise. The third paramita is patience. We need patience in everything we do. If we're working, we need patience to do the job properly. With our family, we need patience to interact with others around us. When we're with a group, we need patience to interact considerately with them. With ourselves, we need patience and understand that we have innumerable bad habits from uncountable past lifetimes. So we need to not get upset with ourselves when we make mistakes, but to instead calmly figure out why we might have committed them and how not to repeat them. We have patience for the conditions we find ourselves in. Inclement weather, aches and pains that seem to increase yearly, uncomfortable surroundings, frustrating people. The list is endless. With patience, we will realize that thankfully nothing lasts forever, like bad weather, stressful surroundings, and especially those annoying people. Our patience with all these comes largely from our understanding that we created the conditions that we're now about to fuss over. When instead of railing and whinging about life's imperfections, we calmly and patiently accept them. Karmic debts will be reduced, and we'll be laying the groundwork for better conditions in the future. What are the things we can't change in this lifetime, like those increasing aches and pains? We patiently accept them as well, reminding ourselves of the two arrows the Buddha spoke of. The first arrow is pain. It's not optional. It comes from having a human form and living in samsara, the cycle of rebirth. The second arrow is the suffering we cause with what we tell ourselves about that first arrow, the arrow of pain. We strike ourselves over and over and over with this second arrow as we dwell on our discomfort. Thankfully, that second arrow is optional. We can choose to discard it by dragging our thoughts away from the pain and placing them on something that makes us happy, like Amitabha. What of others? We have patience for them as well. We can practice as Suddhana did in the Flower Adornment Sutra. Suddhana was determined to attain enlightenment. He looked upon the 53 spiritual advisors as his teachers. He saw everybody, good and bad, as somebody he could learn from. This is what we also need to do with others. Everyone is our benevolent teacher. We can learn from everyone. We are the only student. Everyone else is our teacher. And so we respect others with this manner of thinking. Unfortunately, unlike Suddhana, most of us find the faults of others much more readily than our own. In his practice, Siddhana did not notice the faults of others. He was too busy trying to find his own. He was too concerned that he did not have enough time to correct his own faults, much less try to go around trying to fix everybody else's. He did not see the faults of others, only his own. To hear that everyone is our teacher may be confusing. Obviously, a very good person can be a good teacher. A wise person can be a good teacher. How can a murderer be a good teacher? How can a thief be our teacher? Why should I respect this person as my teacher? We look at those who are doing good and we emulate their behavior. We use them as good role models, as good examples. We look at those who are behaving wrongly and we determine how not to act as they have. So we emulate those who behave correctly, but not those who behave wrongly. But whether good or bad, we respect everyone. The reality is that we are in no position to judge others. We don't really know them. Don't know their intentions, their karmic links with others, why they are doing something. We have no idea what their past lives have been, what karmic conditions are being played out, what karmic seeds they planted, what karmic debts they are repaying. We simply do not have enough information to judge others, to find others' faults. And fortunately, it's not our job, our own or our business. We need to find our own faults. That is our job, to concentrate on our own faults. We may be judging someone as doing something wrong when they are just a very wise, compassionate person, trying to teach us in a slightly unusual way. We know nothing of this, so we do not judge others. We are patient with others, and we remind ourselves that we have good teachers. They may not. We have good conditions to be here learning. They may not. We know about cause and condition. They may not. We believe in rebirth. They may not. In this lifetime, we are to practice giving of our wealth, our possessions, time, and energy. We teach others both worldly skills and the Dharma. We give fearlessness, easing the worries and concerns of others. We do so selflessly and with wholehearted sincerity. We follow the laws and customs of where we are. And we practice patience with others and with the challenging situations we encounter. Practicing these three paramitas of giving, precept observation, and patience, we'll have begun to practice a bit of the way that bodhisattvas practice. And we will be on the path to Buddhahood. Amitabha.